we have this wonderful spread of beer and food in front of us, but what do we do with it all, right? How do we pair beer and food? What are some simple concepts to think about? So right off the top of the head, your best concept is harmony and balance, right? You want to balance your beers. Light beer, light food, heavy beer, heavy food. Now when I say light, I don't mean alcohol light, I mean flavor impact. You can still have like our Belgian Moon is a light impact flavored beer, but it's 5.2%, so it's still full strength. So once you have harmony and balance figured out, you want to think of the 3 C's: cut, complement, and contrast. Now, cut is the ability for beer to cleanse your palate. Beer is a phenomenal palate cleanser, which is why it has a place at the dinner table. So the reason it's a good palate cleanser is you've got the ABCs of cut or palate cleansing: alcohol, bitterness, and carbonation. The alcohol in the beer will break down the debris on the palate. The bitterness is sort of, akin to tannins in wine. It sort of attaches itself to the debris on your palate. And then you've got carbonation, which will get in there and just scrub all of that debris off your palate. So beer is a phenomenal palate cleanser. However long it will take you to enjoy your dish, you can be thinking about what kind of flavor nuances am I finding near the end of the dish, right? Your palate will always be refreshed. So once you've got, once you handle cut and the weight of your beers, the next C's are complement and contrast. So to look at complement, we look at cream or lager. You see this beautiful amber lager, nice caramel color. Well, that caramel color will translate to flavor. When I see that caramel, I can expect to have that nice sweet caramel malt character playing alongside. So on the nose, rich, deep caramel malts, and a bit of a floral hop snip at the very end. So in a beer with a nice sweet profile with cream or lager, you're looking for your complements in that sweet character. And you could also find some contrasts from that sweetness and playing with some salty food. So we'll get to the pairings in a minute, but we're gonna talk about the next beer in line, Lagunitas IPA. This beer is phenomenal. It's the #1 IPA in the universe as far as I'm concerned, because it's the #1 IPA in the States, and I don't know any other country that drinks more IPA than them. So we're gonna say #1 in the universe. And it's got a similar color to Creamore. It's a little bit lighter in color, but on the nose, I always am just delighted with these soft, dense tropical fruit notes. I get peach, I get apricot, embedded with that caramel malt backbone that's in there, and then you introduce the hop character. Nice, bold American hops. You have grapefruit, citrus, and pine, and that eventually we're gonna talk about this fried chicken sandwich. And then last but not least, the Granville Island Lion's Winter Ale. That is a beautiful beer, right? It is absolutely gorgeous, that nice chestnut color. Lion's Winter Ale is just a juggernaut for us. It is a seasonal beer, and in the 5 winter months that it's available, it's one of our top sellers. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the reason it's such a great seller is, on the nose, I always say it's Christmas in a glass. It smells like the holidays. It's vanilla, it's cocoa, it's white chocolate, a little bit of hazelnut. It's just so complex in flavor. But the wonderful thing about it is it's not overbearing. It's still very light. You can have more than one. It tastes like more. So now that we kind of understand the flavor profiles in the beers, how do we work with that in the food? Why have I chosen what's in front of me? So we're heading into holiday times, and cured meats and charcuterie boards, they're all over the place. So that dense sweetness in the Creamore lager is gonna play with so many different things on this charcuterie board. First things first, we've got some fontina and some goat cheese. Beer and cheese are the best of friends. And really quickly, just think about this. The cow and the sheep and the goat that give us the cheese eat the barley that we brew the beer with. They grew up on the farm together. And a lot of the words you use to describe beer, you use to describe cheese. Beer is liquid bread. We take a barley grain, we crush it, we soak it in water, we boil it, we add hops to bitter, and then it ferments. It's a very fast version, but beer is liquid bread. Lo and behold, you see some gorgeous, grilled bread on this charcuterie board. So what's gonna happen is with the cheeses, you're gonna have the sweetness of the beer contrast the saltiness of this is a fontina cheese, right? The saltiness in the cheese is going to bring out the malt sweetness of the beer. You're gonna get a really nice contrast of that saltiness in the cheese, the sweetness of the beer. From the goat cheese, you've got a really dense, creamy, luscious cheese. When you pair that with the cream or lager, the carbonation in the beer is just gonna lift that goat cheese off the palate and it's just going to explode. When you head into the cured meats, we've got some prosciutto and some speck. That intense saltiness in the cured meats, as it connects with the sweetness of the beer, it's just going to electrify that salty, savory, umami character that makes cured meats so wonderful. And then you look at, some of the spreads and some of the sweet honey there. You're just playing with that sweet character. We've got a little bit of olive here. That saltiness in the olive is just gonna make the cream more pop. So, there's so many different marriages and contrasts and complements that, long story short, when you've got a charcuterie board, you want a nice amber colored lager or an amber ale. That malt sweetness just ricochets off, the saltiness and the complexity and all the choices that you have. This is a choose your own adventure, but just remember, beer is essentially liquid bread. And on a nice charcuterie spread, you've always got some nice bread to play with. So, on to the fried chicken sandwich. I'm just gonna take the top off here and just admire the glory. I'm gonna tell you guys when this shooting is done, I'm gonna devour this sandwich. So, Lagunitas IPA, hops cut through richness and fried food. So when we look at that nice, rich, fatty, glorious batter on that chicken, the hop character in the Lagunitas is just gonna cut right through that and cleanse the palate. But if you look at the color of the beer and the color of that batter on the chicken, very similar flavor profile. So right there, we've got complementary pairings, right? The malt sweetness is gonna connect with the sweetness in the batter. It's gonna contrast with the saltiness in there, and it's going to bring out that savory, unctuous umami glory in the beer. And then underneath, there's some wonderful, it's like a tartare sort of sour cream sauce that's just gonna also complement the sweetness and add a little bit of contrast in the bitterness. But the real delight here is when you add the pickles and the fried glory onto the Lagunitas, and you've got those big, bold, fruit flavors that are gonna contrast in there. Sour from the pickles, sweet with the beer, layers of bitterness. This is just an explosion of flavor. So to take away here, IPAs love fried foods. It's just something that you gotta do all night long, right? Whenever I'm going to the pub and fried chicken or wings, I love a nice IPA like Lagunitas just to cut right through it. If you added some heat on this chicken sandwich, it would soothe the heat and make it very agreeable. I'm a spice guy. I'm not happy unless I'm crying. IPAs do a wonderful job just to sort of, they enhance that sweetness, but they also kind of mellow it out. Now, last but certainly not least, this is just a scoop of some nice vanilla ice cream in front of my Lion's Winter Ale, and this is a party trick if I've ever seen one. We're gonna take a beer and we are just literally going to pour it on top and make an ice cream float. Boom, we're done. If you wanna add to this, go nuts. Grab a raspberry or a cherry, put it on top, some crushed walnuts, pecans, some caramel sauce, whatever you wanna do, go nuts, choose your own adventure, but at the very least, just having this scoop of vanilla ice cream and making a beer float with the Lion's Winter Ale, you're off to the races. You're gonna play with all that nice vanilla, all that cocoa, all that hazelnut, all that nice holiday in a glass, over top a scoop of a simple vanilla ice cream. This is a complimentary pairing on top of compliments on top of compliments, and it's so simple to do, and it's so fun, and it's always a crowd pleaser, because who wakes up and think, I'm gonna put some beer on some ice cream this afternoon, right? No one ever does it, so that is a super simple and super fun pairing that you wanna do. So hopefully, as we head into the holiday season, I've given you guys a whole bunch of fun things that you can choose and play as you are entertaining your guests. And thank you so much for watching. I love talking about this stuff. I could do it all day long. So cheers.